Everyone is trying to make artificial intelligence more efficient. Shorter prompts, smaller models, fewer tokens, faster answers. I think that is exactly backwards, and tokens are cheap. Your time is expensive. Bad decisions are extremely expensive. So today, I want to make the case for token maxing, giving an AI system more useful context, more room to reason, and more opportunities to challenge its own answer. The usual approach to AI is transactional. You type a sentence, the machine produces a response, and you judge the result. That works for trivial tasks. Rewrite this paragraph. Extract these dates. Give me 10 names for a coffee shop. But people use the same approach for decisions involving products, careers, investments, research, and entire businesses. They provide 2 sentences of context, receive 2 pages of confident prose, and mistake fluency for intelligence. That is not an AI failure. It is an information failure. Imagine hiring an expert consultant. You give her 30 seconds to learn about your situation, forbid her from reading your documents, and demand an immediate recommendation. If the recommendation is generic, you would not conclude that expertise is useless. You would conclude that the process was ridiculous. Yet this is how most people prompt AI. The model cannot see the information you never gave it. It does not know which constraints are genuine. It does not know what you already tried. It does not know which obvious solution failed 6 months ago for a reason nobody documented. When information is missing, the model fills the gaps with statistical averages. That is why weak AI work has such a recognizable texture, the correct headings, the balanced bullet points. The recommendations nobody could strongly disagree with because they do not say anything specific enough to matter. Generic input creates generic intelligence. Token maxing begins with a different question. Instead of asking how can I phrase this request more cleverly? Ask, what would someone need to know to solve this properly? That shift is enormous. A good context package has 5 parts. First, define the outcome. Do not say, help me with my launch. Say, create a launch plan that one person can execute in 3 weeks with a $2,000 budget, and that produces enough evidence to decide whether we should continue investing. Now the model knows what success means. Second, explain the current situation. What exists? What happened before? What decisions have already been made? What problem triggered this request? History matters because the obvious solution is often something you already attempted. Third, provide constraints. Budget, time, audience, technology, legal boundaries, available people, brand requirements, personal preferences. Constraints do not weaken creativity. They create the shape creativity needs. Fourth, provide evidence. Give the model the customer interviews, the spreadsheet, the source code, the failed proposal, the meeting transcript, the screenshots, the complaints, the actual language people use. Do not ask it to imagine reality when you can show it reality. Fifth, define how the result will be judged. Should the answer maximize speed, accuracy, revenue, originality, safety, or reversibility? These goals frequently conflict. If you do not establish priorities, the model will quietly choose them for you. This does not mean pasting everything you own into one enormous conversation. That is not token maxing. That is context hoarding. The objective is not maximum volume. It is maximum useful signal. 100 relevant pages can be better than 1 paragraph. 100 irrelevant pages can bury the single fact that controls the entire decision. The skill is curation. What does the model need to know? Which sources deserve the most trust? What information is current? What information is merely someone's opinion? What is still unknown? Once the context is assembled, do not immediately demand the finished answer. Spend tokens on understanding the problem before spending them on presentation. Ask the model to summarize the situation in its own words. Ask it to identify missing information. Ask it to separate established facts from assumptions. Ask it to find contradictions between the sources. Ask it which 3 variables have the greatest influence on the outcome. This is where many expensive misunderstandings reveal themselves. If the model's summary is wrong, correct it before it writes a beautifully formatted strategy for the wrong problem. Then separate creation from criticism. A model asked to invent and judge an idea simultaneously often produces something cautious. Every unusual thought gets suppressed before it has time to develop. Use distinct passes. First explore broadly, then organize the possibilities, then eliminate the predictable options, and then develop the strongest direction. Then attack it. Ask what could make it fail. Ask what a skeptical customer would reject. Ask what a competitor would exploit. Ask what evidence would disprove the central assumption, then revise. This is one of the most powerful features of AI. Generating an idea costs almost nothing, and generating an intelligent objection costs almost nothing too. Use both. Do not build your workflow around the fantasy that the first answer should be correct. Build a process in which weak answers are cheap to discover and discard. There is a danger, however. Long conversations decay. Old ideas remain in the history after you abandon them. Early assumptions survive after new evidence disproves them. Temporary instructions compete with final decisions. Eventually, the conversation contains several different versions of reality. The model may follow the wrong one. This is context rot. The solution is context compression. At important moments, stop and create a clean summary. State what has been decided. State what remains unresolved. State which constraints are active. State which earlier ideas should be ignored. For serious projects, keep the summary in a living document. Treat it as the project's current memory. Update it when reality changes. A clean 10-page brief is often more valuable than a chaotic conversation containing 200 pages of history. Token maxing is not about preserving every word. It is about preserving the right state. You also need to reserve tokens for verification. More reasoning does not automatically create more truth. A model can produce a magnificent argument based on a false premise. It can misunderstand a source. It can connect two facts that were never actually related. So ask it to label important claims. Which claims come directly from the supplied evidence? Which are reasonable inferences? Which are speculation? Which require outside verification? Then ask for the strongest case against its recommendation. Not a polite list of generic risks, the strongest case. Ask what new fact would cause it to reverse its conclusion. If the answer is nothing, you do not have analysis. You have synthetic conviction. Token maxing also changes what it means to be good at using AI. The beginner focuses on wording. The expert focuses on environment. The beginner collects prompt tricks. The expert collects evidence. The beginner wants the model to answer immediately. The expert makes it construct the problem, expose uncertainty, compare alternatives, criticize its preferred option, and show which claims require verification. The beginner maximizes output. The expert maximizes useful intelligence per unit of human attention. This is not necessary for every task. If you need 5 subject lines, ask for 5 subject lines. Do not build a constitutional convention around a 2-minute job. Token max when misunderstanding would be costly. Use it for strategy, research, engineering, analysis, major creative work, important purchases, difficult decisions, projects that must remain coherent over time. Match the context to the stakes. The central idea is simple. Stop treating tokens as something precious while treating your own attention as free. Do not save half a cent in computation by accepting an answer that wastes 3 hours of your life. Give the model the evidence, give it the constraints, give it room to explore, make it criticize itself, keep the context clean, verify the claims that matter. The future does not belong to whoever discovers the perfect 7-word prompt. It belongs to the people who can construct the best thinking environment. That is token maxing, not more words, more reality.